Are you ready? I'm going to show you something. Let me go ahead and start coding with Claude Code and tell it to write me a function that validates email addresses. So let's go ahead and work on Claude Code. I'm in Visual Studio Code and I will be using Claude Code. If you don't have those installed, no worries. It will take you only a few minutes with the links that I will have in the description. So with that, we will say, write me a function that validates email addresses. That's it. And then Claude Code will take it. And this is the end of what most people do with Claude Code. Ask for code, get the code, and move on. So it's asking us a question of what language, and that's it. That's a pretty simple question, not quite a system level question. But let's wait for it and it will tell us, okay, this is what I wrote and this is what it checks. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and save this to this file which I have created before called YouTube. While it's saving this to the file, it might ask us, can I do this? Can I do that? So I say yes, and it saved this basic code into the folder. Cool. It writes code, and that's what most people do with Claude Code. Ask for code, write the code, move on. But if this is all you do too, this is only the 10% of what Claude Code or any other AI system can do for you. If you have hired a senior engineer and you are telling them exactly what needs to be done, you are actually losing. In this video, I'm going to show you a big mental shift that changes everything you think about how to write programs in AI. By the end, you will stop thinking of Claude Code as a code generator and you will start thinking of it as your engineering partner. Quick note, let's go ahead and have Visual Studio Code and Claude Code installed. Check the descriptions if you haven't already. It takes only 2 minutes and I will meet you in the editor again. So we are back in the editor now and I'm gonna go ahead and code one more thing. I say I need a login form, period. And then let's see what Claude Code does. I need a login form. Write me a login form. And it says, what technology would you like the login form to build with? Okay, write me a login form with email and password fields in HTML. Okay, let's see what it does. It will only take a few seconds for the amazing Claude Code to just pump out some code for us. It's asking, can I edit this? And I say yes. You can choose to edit all of these automatically to save time if you want, but I like to see what's going on. So for now, I'm just manually checking those. So it saved it into login.html. Let's see what it does, and we can go ahead and preview login.html here, and you can actually open this as a website and see what it does. But long story short, it's a login form with email and password, clean, and what we ask for, right? Well, great. It works, the code is fine, but think about for a second what just happened. You gave Claude Code a solution, write a login form, and it implemented your solution. That's autocomplete with extra steps. Here is what's different when you work with an actual engineer. You don't say, write me a login form. You say, users need to authenticate. And you stop there. And your engineer asks questions, right? Questions can be, what authentication methods? Just email and password, or do we want social login too? What happens on failed attempts? Rate limiting, password requirements, session management? You see the difference between two? You gave them a problem. They helped you think through the system. And Claude Code can do this. Most people just never ask it to. So let me show you the same task, two different approaches. Let's go back to the editor and let's go ahead and say, write a Python function that sends an email notification when a user signs up. And this is the, again, autocomplete approach, not the system approach. We have already decided the solution and send an email. Claude is just implementing it, right? So we let it implement and see what's happening here. So Claude Code is writing the solution we provided. So it gave us some notes. For Gmail, use this. Common SMTP hosts are the following, and so on. So what it did, it wrote us an email notification .py file, asked no other system level questions, just implemented a solution, the solution that you gave. But that's not how we want to use it. And let's go ahead and ask in a different way. So we are going to say, I need to notify users after they sign up. What should I consider before implementing this? Okay. Now, look at this. Claude will be thinking about the system, right? When should notifications go? What if email delivery fails? Should users choose notification preferences? What about welcome sequences versus single emails, right? Same starting point, completely different conversation. I'm going to enlarge this conversation a little bit and see it's thinking about delivery and reliability, security, user experience, compliance, monitoring, rate limiting, and all that, right? So look at this. I mean, this is a completely different conversation, right? So the first approach gives you code, and the second approach gives you a better product. So let's go ahead and say yes, add retry logic, and use environmental variables and let it do its thing. So the key point here is that we started from the same point, completely different conversations. One approach gives you code, the other approach gives you a better product. We are after the second approach, the better product. And it's such a simple difference, anybody can do that. So if you are ready now, let's go back to the code, and it has been still completing our notification system here. We let it complete, and then we will start something different. So we have all the updated code here, perfect. Now, let's go ahead and build a product. What about expense tracker, right? We all need that in our lives. So I'm going to say, I want to build a simple expense tracker for personal use. Before we write any code, help me think through this. What questions should I be asking myself? Okay, let it go, and then it will do its thinking. Notice what I did. I did not say, build me an expense tracker. I asked Claude to help me think. And that's a much better use of any AI system. Now, Claude is acting here like a senior engineer in a planning meeting, right? It's asking here about core functionality, data and storage, interface, categories, scope control, practical. It's asking about scope, requirements, edge cases, and all that. So I want to kind of encourage Claude Code a little bit. Good questions. Let's keep it simple for now, right? Local storage. Go ahead with basic categories, monthly summaries. What is the minimum viable architecture? That's a key question. And I send it. And it's working on some architecture suggestions. So here we are shifting a little bit to a solution architect, right? So it's coming up with a storage single JSON file and the categories such as food, transport, utilities, entertainment, health, shopping. that covers most of us' expenses. I like it. And then it comes up with expense add, expense list, and expense summary as some of the command line functions. And it's creating one file called expense.py. That's it, right? Because we asked it to build something simple, no database, no config files, no separate modules. So you can always add features later if you actually need them. Want me to build this? Well, I like it. Let's go ahead and build it. So one question that we want to make followed up by this is we want to ask also a little bit more about the data model. So maybe before building this, let's go ahead and cancel this for a second and then let it work a little bit more, right? Earn that salary that we're paying for this new employee Claude Code. Okay, let's start with the data model. What would you suggest and why, right? Okay, this is the key. I want to ask your attention, particularly this word why, because when you ask Claude to explain its reasoning, you are getting engineering judgment, not just code, and that's what we want. Now, when I do ask for code, Claude has context. It knows my constraints, my goals, my trade-offs. The code it writes will be better because we thought together first, right? So it's giving us this and that. Okay, why this works, we want this date as a string, amounts as float. These are the data types it comes up with as we asked. And it gives us the reasoning, right? You know, no parsing needed for calculations, simple validation, and what have you. And it's recommending what to skip. Okay, I like it. Does this match what you need? Yes. Okay, if you like it, go ahead and say, yes, please build. Okay, when it's building, I want to talk to you about something for a second. So we can't be training new Claude Code every single time, right? So we somehow have to have our onboarding system in our mind. How do we train new Claude Code whenever a new project comes up, or in the same project, maybe you are adding functionalities, right? So there's a secret weapon. When I learn editing, I'm going to cut through this, so thanks for being patient here. There's a secret weapon which we call Claude.md file. That's like a README file that we are used to. That's actually a technique that levels up everything I just showed you. So we are going to go ahead and ask Claude Code to create a Claude.md. And it's a special file that Claude Code reads automatically. And then we will have our onboarding documentation. So now let's go back to the code and see what it did with the last ask that we had. And it's actually went ahead and started building our expense tracker with the data modules that we have agreed to. So it's doing its thing, adding expenses, functions, specific months, what have you. So it will go on, and we will have our project here. But I want to actually take a little secret way here. As I said, I'm going to say build Claude.md. What it does, it will actually create the onboarding file for us. So each and every time we come back to this project, we don't have to teach it again and again, right? So I'm going to tell Claude, and Claude already has the Claude.md here. So we can either accept it or change it or what have you every time you have this up and ready. Perfect. So now let's go ahead and say, okay, perfect. You created this, and now I want to add a new feature, right? I want to add a feature to export expenses to a CSV because maybe I want to analyze my expenses elsewhere, right? So I'm going to go ahead and ask that from Claude Code. And now Claude Code already knows this is a simple Python project with all the files, commands, environments that we have decided in here. So it's actually taking those into account from the MD file, and it is making our project compatible with what we have decided already. So do you want to make these edits? Yes, it's actually implementing the CSV export as we asked it to. So I'm going to say yes, and it keeps creating the expense tracker.py. So we are quite happy with it. It creates a CSV with columns, amount, category, and description. Okay. Now we can say, okay, how do I run this as a test and see how it did, right? Just to check it out. And it will even give us instructions to do so with what it said, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and run this in a different terminal so that we have this open, and then we will go ahead and see this in here as well. Okay, now we have the split screen terminal, and one side we have the instructions, and the other side we can do some testing, quick testing. So for the time's sake, I'm gonna go ahead and paste these, and our lunch is already added to our expense tracker for $25.50. Next, let's add the bus. Bus is $15. Okay, that must be not a local bus, but okay. Let's go ahead and add the electric bill. Well, actually this month has been a little cold, so we have $100. Okay, let's go ahead and view if it's been recording our expenses. Fine, we had food. Okay, I was trying this out once, so it recorded the food twice, and then it recorded our transport and utilities and what have you. We can go ahead and add the summary, and total is $166. Now let's see if it's going to export. Okay, exported for expenses to a test.csv. So perfect, right? It did what we wanted to, as it was thinking the system level, and it was creating a product for us, right? So we talked a lot in this short time. Therefore, I want to give you 3 bullet points to take home with. We talked about problems, not solutions. Start with what you are trying to achieve, not what you want Claude to build. Let the system design emerge from the conversation and come up with solutions with you. 2, ask why and what should I consider. So ask why and what. These prompts unlock Claude's reasoning. You are not just getting code, you are getting engineering judgment. And number 3, build shared context with Claude.md. Remember, that's your onboarding document. And when you onboard to your project once, you don't have to onboard every single time. Every conversation after that is better because Claude understands your system. Now, this is just the beginning. In this series, we are going to go deeper, using Claude Code like a junior engineer, and then it gets a promotion to a senior engineer and even a solution architect. We will talk about when to use different models, how to build real systems with routing and fallbacks, and how to evaluate what you're building. The goal is not to write more code faster. It's to think in systems and let AI help you do that. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.